Good afternoon. If someone wants to slam the button over there or flip it down, actually, the doors will shut. So, happy Valentine's Day. My gift was going to be starting on time, but didn't quite make it. Well, thank you for being here. We have a busy day ahead of us. We have a couple of briefings, and one will kind of set us up for Thursday for working a bill. And another one is a follow-up from last year dealing with the Kansas Health Food Initiative. And plus we'll have two bill hearings, and so everyone will keep fairly brief on all this. We will get through it and get you out of here by 7 o'clock tonight. No, it'll be before that, 6:30 maybe. No, we'll get out early. Yesterday worked fine, and we were able to get out by 4:30. We kind of hope that works the same today. So with that, we will get started with our first briefing. It will be on sustainable agriculture. So we welcome Dr. Robert Casad with Blue Flame Biofuels. Welcome to the committee. Biopower. Well, okay. Thank you.
I'm here to make a brief thumbnail sketch of what Blue Flame Biopower is doing in Kansas as this relates to the bill you'll be hearing on Thursday concerning sustainable agriculture. First, I have to give you some background. I am a scientist and a patent lawyer who worked for 17 of the last 18 years in Denmark in the biofuels industry. In late 2021, I was working with a Danish biogas company on a grant application, and the topic was, how can we export Danish biogas technology to the USA? Well, I dreamed up this idea. The company I was working with pulled out of the grant at the last minute, and I decided, myself, a sixth-generation Kansan, that this is such a good idea, I'm going to do it myself, which is precisely what I did. To understand the idea, you have to understand two fundamental issues. The first of these, you have to understand how it is possible to make a lot of money making biomethane, also known as renewable natural gas, out of agricultural commodities. This is possible because of what's called the Renewable Fuel Standards. It was passed as Federal Policy, Energy Policy Act of 2005 that established a series of targets for a certain amount of biofuels that had to be part of the mix in the U.S. pool. The cellulosic biofuel component was, as of 2022, supposed to be 16 billion gallon gasoline equivalents. As it turns out, as of 2022, there was only 510 million produced. So there was a huge gap between the targets set by the law and the actual supply being provided. One earns money under the renewable fuel standards because when a producer produces renewable natural gas that is sold for use as transportation fuel, it qualifies for what's called a renewable identification number, or RIN, from the EPA. The petroleum refiners are obliged to buy these RINs. Now, it's a complicated market because the theoretical demand is 16 billion and the supply is 510 million. Obviously, that doesn't work. So EPA has this sort of stopgap measure where they impose a target that's intended to match the actual supply, and then for everything between the actual supply and the theoretical demand of 16 billion, they sell a cheap waiver to the petroleum refiners. So here's the principle. The principle whereby one makes a lot of money at this. The second thing that you need to understand is a principle of Kansas law. Now, being a Kansan and also a lawyer, I'm sitting here in Denmark, and I kind of knew what I was looking for under the sort of home rule principles of Kansas law. It is possible in Kansas for farmers, landowners, to petition county governments to have their land included in what's called a rural improvement district. This is a public corporation with elected directors. It is a political subdivision of county government, and it is empowered legally to issue tax-free revenue bonds to finance biomethane plants. So the idea is simply this. I come back to Kansas. I organize farmers to form the improvement districts, and we get green investors from all over the country to finance the construction of biomethane plants that create a market for the farmers' agricultural commodities. There's net revenues from these plants, and the net revenues can be applied toward converting the farmers' vehicles to run on their own renewable natural gas. Every new model American pickup that's made as of right now has a factory conversion kit. It's just an option. You just have to pay for it. That's all. But any new pickup can come as dual fuel. You can run either on compressed gas or on diesel or a regular standard liquid fuel. So this was the basic concept, that we could organize these improvement districts. My company's business model is a bunch of farmers aren't really going to be able to do this on their own. In fact, getting farmers to work together is not easy. The best you can do is get them to form a district together, and then my company, with well-educated, well-trained experts, will run the plants for them. We'll provide technical management of the plants, brokering of the gas, and most importantly, brokering of the RINs. There's this complex market of selling these RINs, which is the main source of the revenue. That is the business model of my company. I picked Kingman County out of all the counties in Kansas to begin this, and I was very fortunate. I was very well received, supported by the county government. Kingman has one of only 3 CNG fueling stations in all of West Kansas. And so, as you can understand, the people who are behind that project are very enthusiastic about what I'm trying to do, and they helped me. And we organized Kansas Sustainable Agriculture District number 001 that officially exists. We applied for a USDA grant and so on, but that isn't the main point that I'm here to tell you about. The main point is, this is a prototype, and obviously my company isn't going to make very much money if there's only one district, but if there's 43 districts, then it could make a lot of money. There's something special about the number 43 that I want you all to understand. Under the law, the gas has to be sold for use as transport fuel, but the term transport fuel actually includes irrigation pumps. And according to my estimates, of the 23,000 irrigation pumps in Kansas, something like 60% run on natural gas. We can sell them RNG as a documentary transfer from pipelines. And I estimate that if every natural gas-fired irrigation pump in Kansas was buying RNG from a district, we could support 43 plants of the size I propose to build in Kingman. Something else quite remarkable happened in Kingman. When I was on the ground in Kingman, I discovered an aspect of this story that I did not see sitting over in Denmark. I only saw it when I got here on the ground in Kansas. Can I see Appendix B? Well, I'll tell you, we can't put them, but the point is, the point that I want you to understand here is Kansas is uniquely situated amongst all the 50 states to be able to dispose of small quantities of CO2. Biomethane plants of the size we're talking about in Kingman will produce something like 20,000 tons a year. Well, this is chicken feed in the world of CO2 disposal. But you have before you a map of all the Class 2 underground injection wells in Kansas. 7,000 of these are enhanced oil recovery wells. Every single one of those wells can be used legally to sequester CO2, and the EPA has nothing to say about it. It is completely within the jurisdiction of the KCC, of the Kansas Corporation Commission. So we have the opportunity in Kansas to exploit a tremendous opportunity to sequester CO2, and by the way, earn a lot of money in so doing, $60 a ton being paid in federal subsidies. This introduces a second aspect of sustainable agriculture. We talked first about using agricultural commodities to make vehicle fuel and getting farmers to start using their own fuel. Now we can talk about sustainable ammonia, a standard Haber-Bosch process. The industry standard ammonia production uses natural gas. Some of the natural gas, of course, is burned to make heat. Never mind that part. The natural gas that is used in the chemical reaction to make hydrogen produces an exhaust that is basically pure CO2. There's water vapor that's easy to get rid of. So you have CO2 coming out of ammonia plants that you can stick in those 7,000 EOR wells. and make money for doing it. Well, what is the idea? The idea is the same mechanism of a rural improvement district selling tax-free bonds, getting money from green investors all over the country to finance hundreds of millions of dollars investments in little Kansas counties and produce sustainable ammonia. Now, anybody in the ammonia business will tell you this is insane. There's huge economies of scale in an ammonia plant. Well, if you're trying to make money selling ammonia, it is insane. On the other hand, if your farmer is trying to save money on your ammonia cost, it makes perfect sense. The idea that we can make little tiny ammonia plants on the scale of 700 farmers, 400 farmers, put the CO2 in the ground, it will be sustainable, and it will get the support of the kind of green investments, and you'll be able to produce ammonia on that kind of scale much cheaper than the $1,400 a ton they're paying right now. Okay, now that was my quick thumbnail sketch. I would like to show you a little video clip that is a promotional clip of a Danish biomethane plant that runs on grass silage and manure, which is exactly what I'm proposing to do in Kingman. Is that enough, or should I take questions or anything? Or? Okay. It'll take 4 minutes and 40 seconds. There you go. Can you get the sound? Well, even if you show them the video, they'll see it. Well, I should explain one brief thing about Denmark. In Denmark, 30% of the natural gas grid is now biomethane, and with all this trouble with the Russians, they're on track to be 100% by 2030, just as an aside. So this is all completely up and running, commercially available technology in Europe that nobody in the U.S. is doing. Well, they're doing it for cow manure, but not for grass. Well, there you have it.
All right, very good.
So thank you for your attention. Should I answer any questions, or is that it for
Yeah,
the?
make any questions for Dr. Kasad? Representative Minix?
Very interesting video there. I'm just curious on your chemical formulation, how many tons of each to yield how much gas?
The plant that we're proposing to build in Kingman would use 30,000 dry matter, 30,000 dry tons of a grass silage, primarily Sudan grass grown as a cover crop, and 30,000 tons of feedlot manure, and would produce approximately 9,200 gallon diesel equivalents per day of methane. That's 15,000 acres. Yeah, I can imagine that we can eventually get the throughput of these plants higher, and we could have more acreage.
That's pretty good yield. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Representative Gardner? We're not done yet.
Oh, sorry.
Representative Gardner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had some limited exposure to this many, many years ago in 1981 in a foreign country when we were dealing with this in a very crude method of producing this biogas. But we had significant problems with the yield whenever the environmental temperatures got too cold. Has this problem been resolved, or is, in Kingman, Kansas, it gets cold once in a while?
Well, let me explain that all of these tanks are temperature controlled. It uses a huge amount of process heat. What you have is you have a generator producing electrical power, and then you have the heat from that generator used to heat water. All of those tanks are thermostated. They're thermostated at 42 degrees centigrade, which is, I don't know what, Fahrenheit. But so they don't, the temperature doesn't matter. It's all, those are temperature controlled tanks. Some of the American companies are building these covered lagoon style systems. They're much cheaper, obviously, but they're very, very inefficient, and they fluctuate wildly with the temperature. That's probably the kind of system you're talking about. Nobody in Europe uses those. Those are only used in the U.S. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Roth?
Thanks for that interesting bunch of information. Can you tell me on your plants, what are the danger levels to the community? Is it explosive? Is it something that got in the air? It could harm people, if there was a big leak or something like that?
Well, it isn't really explosive, except in the case where you're containing it. The tank there isn't explosive. It's too diffuse. It's too diffuse inside the tank for the tank to explode. But if you start putting it in storage tanks, which people often do, intermediate between the pipeline and a storage tank, that does have explosion risk, some explosion risk. As far as sort of toxins in the environment, well, methane is an environmental toxin in terms of being a bad greenhouse gas, but there isn't anything in the biogas itself that is harmful at all. Nothing in the digestate is harmful. It's not harmful. There can be an odor, but there are ways of controlling the odor, and we intend to kind of take advantage of those methods to reduce odor. Now, if you build a sustainable ammonia plant, of course, that does have hazards. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your answer. Thank you, Chairman.
Lex?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your presentation. Are these plants self-sustaining as far as their energy? Do you need an alternate energy source to initially start them up, and how does that?
Well, let me answer this. In Europe, people simply take the raw biogas to run their generator because it'll run fine on raw gas. However, in the U.S., our biogas is worth so much more than pipeline gas. Our intention was to use the pipeline gas. I have a system that has not yet been tested that I think we can sequester the exhaust from the generator, but it has a lot of nitrogen content because you have all this air coming through in the exhaust. We haven't tested it yet. We're not really sure that will work. In the worst case scenario, an alternative is we could buy grid storage batteries and simply buy renewable electrical power in the middle of the night when it was cheap and store up batteries, and that wouldn't really cost any more money than our generator. So there are possibilities for us to get power that are not bad energy, but we're not going to use our own biogas because it's way too valuable. Yeah.
One more. Also, your delivery system to the irrigation wells, give me an idea how that's going to be accomplished.
So what happens in the system here is if you put renewable natural gas into the pipeline system and somebody somewhere buys it, it's obviously not the same molecules, but there's a documentary transfer of the gas. So what we would do is we would have a contract with the gas storage field because the irrigation wells are all seasonal. We'd have a contract with the gas storage well, and we would have documentary transfer from our plant to the end users. All of those irrigation pumps have a tap into a pipeline. And so they have a location. All of them is amenable to being part of this documentary transfer. And in fact, I'm a little bit worried. I put this idea in the open, and Shell Oil is going to run in and get contracts with these people. I want the Division of Sustainable Agriculture to get contracts with them. That's what I want.
Okay. Right. Thank you for that.
Other questions? Seeing none, all right.
Thank you very much, and I'll see you Thursday. Thank you.
Dr. Casado will be back with us testifying. This was kind of a precursor to more discussion on House Bill 2091. He'll be establishing a Division of Sustainable Agriculture. We'll learn more about that there, but thought, well, we wanted to kind of set the stage as he is one of the reasons why we're going to have that discussion, so thank you for that. Okay, let's move on for another briefing then with the Kansas Health Food Initiative. Rael Carver, is that right?
Yep. Yes, I'm over here and I'm coming up.
There you are, yes.
Yes, you got it.
Welcome back to committee. You were here with us last year. So,
yes.
And I believe you'll just kind of have two or three come up, is that correct?
Correct. I will speak for a few minutes. We have a featured funded project, a couple representatives that will share, and then we have one funded project that's joining us online. Right. So that's our plan. And we do have some slides. So we'll get those going. And then there also are some packets that will be handed out, I think, afterwards, or we'll go ahead and hand those out now. Great, thank you.
All the biogas is combust heat and power plant combustion. It passes through an activated carbon filter. The filter serves for removing the remaining hydrogen sulfide.
Okay. All right. Okay, looks like we're on track here. Great, thank you so much for having me. My name is Rael Carver, and I'm the program leader for the Rural Grocery Initiative. Today, I'm here to share about a program my team is involved in that is addressing challenges many Kansas communities face. Challenges like access to healthy food, disinvestment in rural economies, and closing independent businesses. The Kansas Healthy Food Initiative was established in 2017 and is overcoming these challenges through financing and technical assistance. So during this presentation, I'll provide an overview of the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative, and then we'll have representatives from two funded projects share about their experience with the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative. We'll have some time for questions. And as I'm speaking, please feel free to look through the packets that we've passed around. These have an overview of the program as well as some of the impacts of our program, a list of funded projects based on the districts represented in this room, and then 4 case studies of featured funded projects. So the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative aims to increase access to healthy food to improve health and economic development of Kansans and their communities. We do this in 2 ways, through technical assistance and financing. There are 5 partner organizations that make up the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative organization and carry out this program. We have 4 of our 5 partners represented either in the audience here in person or online to answer any questions you might have about their role in this program once we get to questions later on. So we provide technical assistance. I should switch the slide here. We provide technical assistance through our program. Network Kansas, through their Impact Investment Center, connects businesses with customized business development expertise and support. The Rural Grocery Initiative specializes in rural food access knowledge and provides technical assistance through individual conversations, events, and programs like the National Rural Grocery Summit, our Business Transition Mentorship Program, and their recent webinar series. Our technical assistance aims to prepare business owners to secure funding and sustain operations. We also We also provide financing. Our financing supports one-time investments in healthy food retail projects. KHFI funding can be used for building improvements, equipment to expand healthy food offerings, or costs related to startup. Our financing is available through a loan and grant combination with standard ratios of grant to loan offered per project. In 2020, we expanded those parameters to include a higher grant ratio for projects led by those identifying as Black, Indigenous, or people of color, or BIPOC-led projects. We have 5 partners involved in this program. So the Kansas Health Foundation is our current program funder. They've invested $6 million into the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative financing pool to support projects going directly to Kansas communities. They've also provided support for operations for some of the other partners involved in this program. The Rural Grocery Initiative provides technical assistance. We handle promotion and outreach, which is part of the reason I'm here today, and we serve as the first point of contact for potential funded projects. We have 2 financial partners involved in this program who both are involved in dispersing funds directly to our Kansas community-based projects. For projects less than $75,000, we would route the applicant through Network Kansas. For projects greater than $75,000, we'd have them work with IFF, which is a community development financial institution with presence throughout the Midwest and an office in Kansas City that we work with. And then lastly, we have the Food Trust, who is an evaluation partner with our group, and they also are a liaison to other healthy food financing initiatives like the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative that exist across the country. So since we started this program, we've funded 62 projects in 37 counties, equaling over $3.8 million in direct investment in Kansas communities. These projects have supported over 400 jobs and created nearly 200 jobs. Our investment in these projects has stimulated over $14 million in additional funding from other sources to support these projects, and our funded projects are serving over 250,000 residents across the state. If we look at the map, we can see that our funded projects are highlighted in the purple counties here. This shows 37 counties where funded projects exist. However, some counties have had more than one project. In the districts represented in this room, 10 of 17 districts have benefited from funding from the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative. And if we consider the entire pipeline, meaning projects that are funded and projects that are currently under review, over half of Kansas counties would be shaded in purple. If we looked at counties that have received our technical assistance, 80% of the state would be shaded in purple. So we have 2 funded projects we'd like to share with you today. And first, I'd like to introduce Donna Pearson-McClish and Randy Kautz with Common Ground Producers and Growers Mobile Market based in Wichita, Kansas. Thank you.
Good afternoon. We're glad to be back. We were here last year with you. Thank you so much for your invitation, Ryle and KHFI, and we just want to kind of give you a brief overview of what we do. We are the Common Ground Producers and Growers Mobile Food Market and Mobile Food Hub. We are headquartered in Wichita, Kansas, and I'd like to just give you an overview of where we've come to this point, and then Randy's going to tell you about he is our program advisor, so he's going to tell you a little bit about what the market does. So we have 40-acre urban farm in Wichita, Kansas, and we are the largest urban family farm in the area. So the farm supports Common Ground. Pearson's Farms supports Common Ground in the mobile market. So we house all of our equipment, all of our coolers, all of our storage on the farm. The grant from KHI helped us to upgrade the infrastructure. The farm is over 54 years old, so it's needed some care. The house is 110 years old, so it's needed lots of care. So one of the initiatives for the KHFI grant was to upgrade the electrical system on the farm and to provide support from the farm for growing produce and supporting Common Ground as it does its work. We have, I know some of you may have heard that our urban farm has been visited by Governor Kelly last year and by Senator Moran, and they have been very supportive of what we do. We have storage and access of walk-in coolers. We expand Common Ground services, and we store produce on the farm. Common Ground aggregates produce from a network of growers, and we move food to food desert, food insecurity areas. We have recently been awarded the Local Food Promotion Program grant through USDA to expand our services from Wichita to Saline County, those 12 counties down the 135 corridor. So I'm going to let Randy tell you a little bit about what we do.
Good afternoon. Randy Couts, Program Advisor for Common Ground Producers and Growers Mobile Market. We were truly blessed by the KHFI grant because it allowed us to basically do our core value and our mission statement, which is all are fed and no one is hungry. The grant allowed us basically to take the money and funnel it back through the farm, back through our community, through our network of growers, to impact communities that literally have no grocery stores, or to impact seniors who don't have access and transportation to get to grocery stores. We truly believe that as we work our way through the process of engaging our community, we can't do it without funding. So the funding that hit us this last year allowed us to do a lot of work. It allowed us to upgrade not only equipment on the Pearson's family farm, but it allowed our network of growers who needed tillers, who needed plastic, who needed supplemental pieces to their hide tunnels. All of this went into play because of the grant. We were able to then turn around and ask them, now that you've got your new tillers, now that you've got your new plastic, now that you were able to go out and buy seed, what do we need from you? We need you now to feed our communities. They were able to ramp up their growing. So we were able to get more produce. We were able to impact more senior sites that we visited. The Common Ground Mobile Market, we service 40 plus senior sites throughout Sedgwick, Harvey, and Butler and Saline County. We were also able to then turn around and be able to now, we have a zero waste policy. So at the end of the week, everything that we don't give out, we're able to turn around and donate it to organizations within our community that also feed people. So we were able to take the money that was given and to turn it into an impact that outreaches and outnumbers anything that we could have ever imagined or expected, because we had a commitment, first and foremost, to serve our community. Secondly, we had a commitment to partnership. And then thirdly, we had an action plan that we knew that if we went to work and we started to partner and we made a commitment to reaching outside of our normal parameters and outside of our normal box and scope, that we could have a greater impact, not only in the city of Wichita, not only in Sedgwick County, but in other communities and in other cities as well. So we have been able to take full advantage of everything that was given to us. From the moment that we got the money, Ms. Donna immediately said, we need to upgrade. So we upgraded the farm, we poured down slabs, we brought in much needed refrigeration, because one of the powerful things about farming, beets, cabbages, lettuces, whatever you're growing, whatever you're harvesting, does not stay well inside of 70, 80 degree temperatures. It's got to be cooled down. So once we got our slabs poured, once we got our electrical systems upgraded, we were able to get a walk-in cooler placed out at our farm. This has exponentially given us a greater reach, greater expansion, greater opportunity to grow and to network with farmers. So now, to reduce farmer to grower miles, now they, instead of us having to always go get it, they can literally bring it now to our farm and drop it in our cooler. We network with K-State Extension, which is has a beautiful, wonderful master growers program. Those growers now, when they have donations, can now literally bring it to our farm, drop it in our refrigerated unit. We then take it and we supplement that and give it to our other organizations in the city of Wichita that want to donate to those people who are in need of fresh produce. So, in a nutshell, it has changed the way that we do business. It's changed the way that we've impacted our community. It's changed how we view ourselves moving forward in the city of Wichita and in the state of Kansas, of trying to be more impactful in changing the lives of those who do not have access to fresh produce, fresh vegetables, simply because of a system that is looking for answers and solutions. And we want to be a part of the answer, be a part of the solution, and we can only do it by continued funding. And so we hope that you see the value in it. We hope that you can see how important it is for us to be partners in the process of feeding people.
One last
Thank you.
item. Thank you, Randy. One last item. If you look on your paper, on the back, it has Wichita Metro Districts, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, all 5, in 84, 85, 89, and 90, those are growers that work with us, and that's our farm. So the funding has had a major impact on what we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. So we're going to shift gears slightly and talk about a rural example of a project that we've funded. So this example of Common Ground Producers and Growers highlights an urban producer that we were able to support and a mobile hub that we were able to support. We now would like to share about one of our most recently funded projects and a recently opened rural grocery store in Axtell, Kansas. So we have Renee Gibson joining us virtually. Renee, can you hear us all right?
I can. Hopefully you can hear me as well.
Yes, we can hear you. You can go ahead.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you. I'm excited to share our success story. Our little small town is excited to have a grocery store open, so I wanted to share how that came about. First, a little bit about Axtell. It's my hometown. It's located in northeast Kansas and has a population of approximately 400 people. Its location is in a rural area with a primarily agricultural economy. During the summer of 2021, the owners of the local grocery store announced their plans to sell the store or close permanently if they could not find a buyer by the end of the year. By mid-December, no individual potential buyers had expressed interest in the store, so a group of community members formed a steering committee comprised of our local Axtell Economic Development Corporation and other interested parties in the community. The purpose of this group was to develop a plan to ensure that Axtell would continue to have a grocery store in the community, which would benefit the community by providing a place for social interaction, a local source for healthy food access, and numerous economic benefits. Through 2 months of meetings, the steering committee determined that the best course of action was to purchase the existing grocery building, have it demolished, due to numerous upgrades and repairs needed to the existing facility, and build a new structure to house our new community grocery store. The benefits of a new building included gains in energy efficiency, increased retail space for additional product offering, and beautification of our little city's downtown. In March of 2022, the steering committee presented the proposed plan, including an estimate of costs to the community as a whole. All were invited, with the intent to begin raising funds to get the project underway. The result was an overwhelming desire to proceed with the construction of a new building to house the grocery store. To date, members of the community and local businesses have contributed $485,000 to assist with funding the project. By mid-April, a for-profit entity was established and building plans were being developed. Vendor relationships began to be established, and stock in Associated Wholesale Grocer out of Kansas City was purchased to secure the main source of grocery inventory. Board members took the opportunity to attend the National Rural Grocery Summit in Wichita, Kansas. The summit provided us with valuable connections and education on opportunities for loans and grants available to assist with our project. We broke ground in July with local contractors and expert craftsmen from our own rural town. The main source of labor was provided through volunteers who spent countless hours of their valuable time to make this happen. In December, we were putting the finishing touches on the building, finalizing equipment purchases, and hiring employees. We were awarded a loan grant mix from KHFI in the amount of $300,000, which was vital to us to complete the project. Additionally, our assistant manager and meat manager participated in the mentorship program also provided by KHFI. The loan funds were used to finish purchasing equipment and our beginning inventory stock. On January 18th of this year, we opened the doors for business. And on Saturday, February 11th, we held our grand opening. The support and patronage from the community has been overwhelming. We know that we will face many challenges in the future, but feel confident with the continued support of our community and KHFI will be able to find solutions so we can continue to provide a healthy food source to our patrons. Thank you for letting me share our story.
Thank you, Renee. So as you can see from both of these examples and from the overview I provided, the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative has had an impact across the state. And our program has benefited from generous financial support from the Kansas Health Foundation. However, the future of this program is uncertain as we've only secured funding for this program through the end of 2023. So the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative is built on a strong partnership that is already making an impact in our communities, and we're currently seeking new opportunities to underwrite this program, hoping that it will continue beyond the end of this year. Thank you so much for your time, and now I'd like to open the floor for any questions.
Any questions for Rael or the other presenters? Representative Mosier, yeah, that's it. Well, you wrote down your first name.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just very proud that Axtell is in my District 106, and that community just came together. I think I had maybe 2 contacts with a lady named Sarah, and they had already, because I had just found out about the rural grocery initiative, and they were one step ahead, and they literally took the ball and ran, and they just made it happen, and I'm very happy that it's going, and that's just a great bunch of people in the Axtell community.
Representative Blex.
Thank you, and thank you for your presentation. I guess I got several questions. One is, do you ever see like the common ground? Do these producers that grow stuff, are they being paid? I assume they're making money, and are your staff volunteer? And do you ever see this thing being sustainable on its own after you get your infrastructure and stuff built up?
Well, we've started the mobile market in 2014, so we have been sustainable on our own. We got our first UAIP grant in 2020, and since we've had several grant fundings. But our growers are paid. We believe that our farmers deserve an equitable wage, so we pay them for what they do. Common Ground pays them through grant funding, through our personal foundation grants, donations, and we pay our farmers. We aggregate the food, we move it, but our intent is to keep the price for our customers, excuse me, as affordable as possible.
It might follow up with a question. Do you, and I do quite a bit of this on a small scale, I guess. I love to garden and vegetables and have some blackberries. And what I find is, and particularly the larger urban communities, they tend to want things perfect. And I can make them perfect if I put enough chemicals on, but I don't want to do that. Like you find in a grocery store, do you see any reluctance between your variation between growers on their ability to grow and fighting insects and everything combined that may make an ugly carrot that people may not want to buy? Do you see any hesitation of your people that you're actually, I assume you're selling it to? Now, people give it to, I understand that.
Well, people that we give it to, they take our ugly carrots also.
Well, sure.
But we don't see a lot of hesitance because we are not, most of our producers are not organically certified.
Right.
But we practice organic practices.
Right.
No herbicides, no pesticides, as much as possible. So our farmers are conscientious of providing a quality nutritional product to our customers. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did, and I appreciate it. It sounds like a lofty goal, and I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Representative Carlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Donna, for being here. And I just was wondering on this grocery store in Axtell, the community is 400 people. What's your catchment area? How many people are they expecting to possibly utilize that facility? And how big is that facility? I missed it if you gave the dimensions.
I will lean on Renee for those questions, for that response.
So the building is 7,600 square feet, and about 7,000 square feet of that is the storefront area. The rest is storage, walk-in freezers, coolers, that type of thing. Our city of Axtell is 400, but as I mentioned, we do have a very large agricultural community around us that expands from us outward about 20-mile radius before you really hit, or about a 15-mile radius before you really hit any other cities that have grocery stores. So the closest grocery store is about 15 miles from Axtell. And based off of the population of the close community, we estimated that potentially there could be 3,000 customers if they would all come to us. And I will share that Marysville, Kansas and Seneca, Kansas are both on Highway 36, and we sit about in the middle of that, 2 miles off of 36 to the north. And we have had customers come to us from Seneca and Marysville to the point that we've had to hire additional employees that we didn't expect to have this early on. So we feel like as long as we're providing the fresh produce and good meat options and variety, that perhaps we can maintain those customers.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
They give us an update and continue on. This is, hopefully we can do this every year. Oh, we have to go live? I'm sorry about that. A microphone. Do I ever use a microphone? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you again for those in ships at sea. Sorry, I had my microphone on. So but we hope to do this again and just to continue to get updates. So thank you, everyone else, for your patience as well. We do have a couple of hearings. And also, if you need to leave, folks need to leave, I want to the bills we heard yesterday, we will work tomorrow. And so that's what's going to happen, those two water bills. And then the ones we hear today, we will plan on working then probably tomorrow as well. Then we'll talk more at the end of both these hearings. So with that, we will continue now. We'll open the hearing up on the House Bill 2160. So we'll call on Kyle Hamilton to come give a brief.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Current law prohibits vehicles from driving on any highway unless the vehicle is constructed to prevent any of its load from dropping, sifting, leaking, or otherwise escaping. Additionally, any vehicle must have a load and any cover being used securely fastened. There are currently 2 exceptions to these requirements. One, for trailers and semi-trailers hauling livestock, and 2, trucks, trailers, or semi-trailers that haul agricultural forage commodities intrastate from the place of production to a market or place of storage, or from a place of storage to a place of use. However, the second exemption does not apply to hay bales or other packaged or bundled forage commodities. House Bill 2160 would add a third exemption for the hauling of cotton bales intrastate within 150 miles from the place of production or storage to a market, place of storage, or place of use. This third new exemption would be subject to the new requirements listed in lines 27 through 31 of the bill. House Bill 2160 would become effective upon publication in the statute book. And with that, I'd be happy to take any preliminary questions.
Any questions for Kyle? Seeing none, thank you. We will call upon our proponents. And first up will be Sharia Stafford with the Kansas Cooperative Council. Welcome back to committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Shahira Stafford, and I'm here representing the Kansas Cooperative Council. The Co-op Council is a statewide association representing all types of cooperatively structured businesses. Those range from agriculture to utility, financial, and insurance. The main difference between cooperatives and and other businesses is that we are member-owned, member-controlled, and our profits are returned back to our member patrons. Many of the Co-op Council's members are farmer-owned ag cooperatives, including 2 cotton gins in Kansas with 3 locations. Northwest Cotton Growers and Southern Kansas Cotton Growers are both cooperatives. We also have a member with gins located in Texas and a regional member, Plains Cotton Cooperative Association, which is a grower-owned cooperative with a new warehouse in Clearwater, Kansas. There are roughly 130 cotton growers across 27 counties in the southern part of Kansas. Cotton ginning season is in south central Kansas and southwest Kansas is from August to December. In December of 2021, we began seeing an uptick in round cotton bale enforcement on both commercial carriers and farmers. This resulted in discussion within the cotton industry and other state agencies, reviewing state and federal regulations to determine how to best enforce and regulate the securement of round cotton bales. Also at that time, we received some guidance from the Kansas Highway Patrol that high stakes are sufficient to meet secure load requirements if strapping is not possible. I won't tell you what's in the bill. Well, House Bill 2160, it would exempt the transport of cotton bales from secure load requirements under certain conditions. It would only apply if the truck, trailer, or semi-trailer is hauling cotton bales interstate within 150 miles from the place of production or storage. Additionally, exempt cotton bale loads would have to be loaded from front to back in a single layer on the vehicle. We think that this is common sense policy that would allow the cotton gin to move trucks faster back to the field while ensuring that bales are securely tied down by other adequate means. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'd be happy to stand for questions.
Any questions for Ms. Stafford? Okay, stand by. We may have some later.
Okay.
Up next, John Donnelly, representing the Kansas Farm Bureau. Welcome back to committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And sorry, I'm rarely tall enough to have to do that. I'm kind of like that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is John Donnelly. I'm here today on behalf of the Kansas Farm Bureau. As you know, Kansas Farm Bureau represents over 30,000 members, farm and ranch families across all 105 counties in the state of Kansas. I want to start out my testimony first by thanking the Kansas Corporation Commission and the Kansas Highway Patrol. We've been dealing with this issue I've been dealing with it for about 18 months, and they've been really great to work with. I've learned over the years that if you have an issue dealing with transportation, commercial carriers, et cetera, if you just go to them, you'll usually get the first answer is, well, that's going to cost us federal funds, which you'll see in the fiscal note. I do believe that this issue is important. Last year we worked with the Highway Patrol, the Corporation Commission, to come up with a directive that was sent out to the troopers that would basically do exactly what we're trying to do in this bill. I think the original bill may have missed the mark just a little bit, and because it expands into the commercial carrier realm, and I believe there will be an amendment suggested that will limit this to farmers only, so that we don't risk the loss of those federal dollars. So once again, I want to thank the Highway Patrol and the Kansas Corporation Commission for working with us. I think we're all headed down the same path. We're trying to do what we've already done as an enforcement through a directive from the Highway Patrol, put it into statute so that we have no question on it moving forward. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Donnelly? Seeing none.
Thanks.
You got a ball game to get to. Thanks. So thanks. Up next will be Dan Metz. He is joining us via WebEx. Mr. Metz, welcome to committee.
Yes, glad to be here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the House Ag and Natural Resource Committee. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Good deal. Okay, my name is Dan Metz. I am board chairman at Southern Kansas Cotton Growers Co-op. I'm a member of the Kansas Cotton Association, a cotton farmer in Sumner County, Kansas, and I've been hauling round bales of cotton for the last 4 years. I'm a proponent of House Bill 2160. And let me start by saying that I believe all loads of cotton should be secure during transport from the field to the gin. However, I would like to recognize that there are cotton trailers that have physical restraints built into their design for the specific purpose of hauling cotton to the gin safely and securely without the need of straps to hold the cotton in place. These trailers have restraints built onto the front and the back of the trailer that prevent the load from shifting either forward or backward. Do we have some pictures of trailers?
Yes, we're working on them.
Okay.
I'll let you know when they pop up here, and then you can continue. Okay. They are up, so you may continue.
Okay. I don't know how well you can see that trailer. Maybe it can be enlarged a little bit. Yeah, we can enlarge that a little more. But this is the type of load we're talking about. You can see on the front of the trailer the bar that goes across the front that restrains that bale from coming forward. And then as you move back, you can see the stakes on the side of the trailers. Yeah, we'll have to enlarge that one a little bit too. But these two type of trailers are what we're wanting to exempt from the strapping. And in this picture here, if you look closely in the back, you can see the bar across the back or that restraint there that holds the load there. Those bales are tightly compressed on there and they do not move. If we want to advance to another set of pictures, I put some examples of some trailers that would not qualify. This trailer would. Those are single stacked with trailer with restraints. There's a couple of more pictures after those if they can bring those up. Okay, can we see that? Okay, that is a flatbed trailer without any restraints at all, and those bales are strapped. And we agree that a bale without restraints, those bales should be strapped. There's another picture that shows cotton that is double stacked. There you can see where it's 2 layers of cotton. That top row of bales is not in contact with the trailer, and we believe that that should be strapped as well. So we're asking for a specific exemption for a trailer that's of a certain design, hauled single stacked. Is there any questions? Anything I could answer?
Do we have any questions for Mr. Metz? Representative Schlingensiepen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I guess my question is, so you're asking for an exemption for the first trailer that we looked at in which a single row of bales are properly restrained. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, the restraints are on the front and the back of the trailer, so it can't move forwards and backwards. And it's got the stakes on the side so they can't slide off. And all bales are in a single layer and in contact with the floor of the trailer.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And so again, leaving the field, a double stack, even if you're only going a mile or two, still be strapped, correct?
That is my opinion. I've hauled cotton all different ways on all different trailers, and the safest is the trailer with the restraints single stack. That double stacked is taller, it's top heavy. That top row of bales is sitting on the bottom row. They can shift. Yeah, I mean, I just feel that needs to be strapped if it's double stacked.
Okay, Representative Roth.
Just a comment, Chairman. When I was campaigning, I met with a lot of farmers that they have this cotton, they grow cotton, and they were all in support of that first trailer that's got the little things on the front and the back of it, and I've seen those. They hold those cotton bales on there. They're really not going anywhere. Plus, they got the stakes on the side to hold them, from side to side as well. And I know that they ask me, if possible, if we get any legislation to support it, and I definitely would be supportive of this and appreciative of the fact that they recognize that the double stack needs to be strapped down, or on the flatbed trailer, it needs to be strapped down. But on these specific trailers that are designed to haul these big bales of cotton without really any issues of them falling off, it should be exempt. And so thank you for letting me comment, Chairman.
Other questions? Representative Gardner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Do we have any process for certifying trailers that would qualify versus those that do not?
Did you get the question, Mr. Metz?
Yeah, I did. There is no certification whatsoever on that I'm aware of. You can buy a new trailer that's got the restraints built onto it, but kind of where this is coming from is you spent the money for the trailer to be able to haul it that way. It's restrained, it's on there, it's not going anywhere. We've never lost a bale off of a trailer like that. Those loads are worth 10, 12, 15,000. I mean, we don't want to be dropping cotton on the road. That's money. And we certainly don't want the liability. So the only comment I could add to that is when we were having some trouble 2 seasons ago, I had a cotton farmer tell me that if I have to strap, I'm going to start double stacking because I got to put the straps on. Well, that kind of went counterproductive on what they were trying to do. We believe the single stacked is the safest way to go.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Other questions? Representative Carlin.
Thank you. This is for Mr. Getz. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On that the back end, I saw the restraint, but I didn't see if it goes all the way across the trailer or if it's just a partial.
Yes, that goes all the way across. I apologize. We didn't have the pictures that we wanted, but what you see on the front is the same across the back.
And that's at about 4 feet high.
It varies between brand. but it's high enough that the bale does not roll off. It compresses that bale forward, the front bale to the back, and the middle bales are all tightly compressed against each other. They
One
use
more
the
follow-up.
backstops to secure the whole load.
It looks pretty secure. I just wonder what would happen in an accident if the trailer would flip. And you kind of went there when you said double stacking might cause less stability, but what would happen if there was an accident and the trailer would flip over?
The National Cotton Council put out some guidance on that, and their feeling was that it should be adequate to withstand minor accidents, but a major accident, any load on any truck susceptible to coming off or rolling over.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I believe you'd have a cotton pick and wreck. Sorry. Mr. Betts, thank you. Yes, no, I appreciate it. Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Betts. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, well, you want to do that right now? Grab some more. Are there any other proponents for this bill? That's all I have on my list. We're going to go to, well, I'm going to call up Mike Homey from the Kansas Corporation Commission. He is listed as a opponent, but I believe there's been some discussion, so just tell us kind of where you are now based on what you know in the last day or so here.
It's on now. Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As stated, my name is Mike Hamey. I'm the Transportation Director for the Kansas Corporation Commission. In discussions recently with Representative Hoffman and Representative Syward, they had sent an amendment over, and working with Mr. Donnelly as well, Farm Bureau. The amendment that we've seen, it satisfies our concerns and specifies this to the farmer producer. And so I would recommend that our testimony be neutral.
All right, very good. Well, we'll have the amendment when we work the bill, so we can have discussion at that time, but there is some of that discussion. Any questions for Mr. Hamey? Very good, thank you. Basically, the way I understand it is the amendment language will be with the interested parties and with the KCC and the Highway Patrol, so that everybody's kind of on the same page on this and see how that works. We also have written, well, we're going to go ahead and call that one kind of opponents, but it's a little bit of both. So even though it is neutral, but let the record show that. We also have written opponent testimony from Colonel Herman Jones from the Kansas Highway Patrol. You have that in your packet. Is there anyone else listed or wants to testify as an opponent of House Bill 2160? Seeing none, we will close the hearing on House Bill 2160. We will have a point of personal privilege for Representative Minix at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize. I didn't put everything together until this lady was leaving the room. For the past 60-plus years in the state of Kansas, the Kansas State Research and Extension agents across the state nominate people from their communities to join a very elite group here in the state of Kansas. And I'm talking about the Kansas Master Farmers Organization and their sister organization, the Kansas Master Farm Homemakers Guild. I didn't realize sitting there that we were in the presence of royalty. This lady and her brother from Wichita are in our 2022 class, and they will join us in March in Manhattan for a banquet to honor those. And we welcome all the master farmers and homemakers from past years to that event. And I just wanted this lady to tell you about a little bit about what her and her brother did to garner an honor like that.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. My brother is the farmer. Excuse me, I'm getting emotional. And took over the farm after my parents passed. And 54 years ago, when they started the farm, it was their goal to feed the community. We had community gardeners. My father, the mobile market is not a unique entity. My father did that years and years ago. And my mother was a community advocate, and she'd go in the community and say, what are you going to do when you don't have grocery stores? And we thought, Mom is just she likes to do her surveys and her women's meetings and all of that. But lo and behold, we have come to the point where we don't have grocery stores in our food desert and food insecurity areas. So we're continuing that legacy. My brother's the farm manager. He tells me what to do, then I tell him what to do, and I do all the paperwork, and he does the farming and the gardening and raises goats and sheep, and we've been at the farm for 54 years. The market has been formally organized since 2014. Next year we'll celebrate 10 years, but it's such an honor, and I have wonderful staff that help me. Family, and it's such an honor to be honored by K-State for the Homemaker and the Farmer Award. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Representative Schlingensieben.
It is a small world.
It is.
Her brother brought beef to my daughter's graduation from their farm because her niece, his daughter, is one of my daughter's best friends. They graduate. In fact, your niece traveled to Europe, to Germany and France with me as part of a youth group. And to see you here, I just put it together. It's an honor to have you here.
Well, it's an honor to be here.
It's the best beef I've ever had, by the way.
Oh, my goodness. Wonderful, wonderful. We are so blessed. Thank you so much.
I'll tell you how embarrassed I am. I'm the current president of the Kansas Master Farmers, and this is one of the ladies and her brother and 5 other couples that we'll honor in March. And you can read about their stories in the Kansas Kansas Farmer magazine, and it's an amazing story about 6 couples basically and what their contributions to the state of Kansas is. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the flexibility to allow me to do this.
Absolutely. Committee, we have another hearing, but I do not see our testifier here. So if not, we don't have. Yes, Representative Seibert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With that being the case, I could tell you what the amendment is. It's very simple in case anybody wants to review it, if you would like to hear it.
That would be fine. We've got some time here.
Okay. What it does is basically on one line where it says, when hauling cotton bales, it'll scratch within 150 miles from the place of reduction and be transported by the producer only. The other part of the amendment is the side stakes to a minimum of no less than 12 inches. So those are the 2 amendments on it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
She's on her way.
Okay. And we'll go in just a moment. Now, before we get started with this second one, I do want to ask the committee, we are currently scheduled to do 3 hearings on Thursday. The idea was to work them on Monday. Now, we can either do that as I had planned. We would not meet on Tuesday, then Wednesday we go on the floor all day. Or if you would like, we could suspend the rules, do emergency final action, and do final action on these 3 we hear on Thursday, and then we would not meet on Monday. Representative Shue.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I have a lot of concerns over HB 2397, so I would prefer a little bit of time to get my head around it.
Absolutely. Okay, that's fine. Because I think we're going to have quite a few testify on 2331 as well. So, but I wanted to make that offer on that possibility. So, okay, very good. Well, we will go ahead and plan with our original idea, and then we will be meeting on Monday to just do final action on those bills. So, with that, we will continue on now with a hearing on House Bill 2332. And Kyle, we'll ask you to do another quick explainer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This bill is 153 pages long, and my brief will be of commensurate length. Just kidding, just kidding. I'll make it fast. On July 1st of 2021, Executive Order number 48 became effective, and that ERO 48 actually reversed the effects of 2011's ERO 36 by transferring the Division of Tourism and the Office of the Director of Tourism from the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism back to the Department of Commerce. And so as a result of that ERO, the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism was renamed the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks. A bill was introduced in mid-March of last year in the Senate to amend all of the references to the Secretary and the Department to reflect the changes made by the ERO. But the bill died in committee. House Bill 2332 is a reintroduction of last year's bill. And I will note that as you flip through the pages, you'll see some changes that have been made that don't deal necessarily just with the secretary or the department name. And I'm not trying to pull a fast one or anything, but the reason we do that is because while we're already in the statute and we're making the amendment, the technical cleanup, our proofers department, they bring up all these notes of this fund isn't called this anymore, or this, all these different changes have happened. And so we just update things, and they're just additional technical changes. But if you have any questions about them, please let me know. House Bill 2332 would become effective upon publication in the statute book. And with that, I'd be happy to take any preliminary questions.
All right, any questions for Kyle? Thank you.
Yep.
That basically says take out the word tourism. Oh, and that's right, and tourism. And tourism. So we will call now a proponent, Kansas Department of Commerce, Rachel Willis. Ms. Willis, thanks for coming to committee.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Rachel Willis. I'm the Director of Legislative Affairs for the Department of Commerce. We support this bill. We feel like it's very technical in nature and are excited just to get it cleaned up. So I'll stand for any questions that you may have.
Any questions? Okay. You'd have to run from the third floor, did you, to get down here?
No, I was on the first floor.
Okay.
So
good.
luckily, yeah.
I know you've been busy, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other proponents for House Bill 2332? Seeing none, any opponents? Seeing none, any neutral for House Bill 2332? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on House Bill 2332. Tomorrow we will have a briefing from Dr. Roger McCollum from Washburn University School of Law on the foreign ownership of land, a precursor to House Bill 2397, which we'll have a hearing on Thursday. We will have action on bills previously heard. We will do the two we did yesterday, and probably the two we did today. I think they're both fairly simple, and then so we'll do final action. So we'll have 4 of those tomorrow. And then Thursday, we'll have those 3 bills, and then if there's anything spilled over, we will do that. But again, we'll plan on meeting on Monday to do the final action on the bills that we'll hear late in the week. So with that, we got you out before 5, so we are adjourned until tomorrow at 3:30. Happy Valentine's Day.